It's lights out and away we go once again. Welcome back one and all to the Pit Straight because it is Wednesday and this is Frontstretch. Alex Gintz, Wyatt Watson, and Tom Blackburn having an emergency meeting to go over the 2026 IndyCar schedule that just came out. What is today? Wednesday? It came out Monday or Tuesday, one of the two. We've got a lot going on. There's a lot to go through. But first of all, gentlemen, how are you?
I'm doing great. Just got back from a hockey play-by-play call, but other than that, Nashville seems like a month ago already with all this news, and and now we got the schedule to dissect. I've still been dissecting since yesterday, so I'm glad we can talk about it and see what we got coming up in 2026.
Yeah, that's how I feel too. It seems like Nashville was so long ago, and here we are. They finally get the schedule announced right after the season is completely over. So at least it gives us something to talk about. That's awesome.
Let's get into it then. Guys, it's no secret that there's been a lot of frustration with the IndyCar schedule for recent memory, especially since the COVID 2020 season where a couple big moves on the schedule got put out and never actually got to materialize. In 2026, there are a few charges. That's why we've titled this The Trial of the IndyCar Schedule. There are a few charges that have been brought against it in recent years, and we can assess whether or not it is actually still guilty of those. To start the reading of the charges, Blackburn, this is one I know that you're very passionate about.
You know it.
The defendant, the IndyCar schedule, has been accused of having too much off time in the first quarter of the season. You know, you called it the gap once. I think that was the first thing you ever wrote here, Blackburn.
Mm-hmm.
We start off in St. Petersburg, and then 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever. By the time the second round of the season comes around, people may have forgotten that there was even a first round of the season.
Mm-hmm.
The schedule, I would say, has pled not guilty to this charge this year. But do you agree, as a novice part-time prosecutor?
You know what? If I was a prosecutor in this, I would drop all charges, and here's why. The first full month of the schedule, it works the way that they have it developed right now. It's 4 races and 5 weekends. And the evidence shows that last year when the St. Pete race happened, they had 1.7, I think, or 1.4. It was over 1 million viewers. And it dropped 3 weeks later at Thermal by 50%. So they are starting the season 3 straight weekends. Mm-hmm. That is exactly the way that they should do it. This right here gets the season going because they're probably going to do the same thing they did last year, which was ramp up the promotion up to the beginning through football season using Fox and its football. And then boom, March 1st, tune in a week later, see us at Phoenix. Boom. See us at Arlington. 2 weeks later, see us at Barber. Now, the defense will rest, as far as I'm concerned, about the gaps in in Long Beach in April. That still needs some fine tuning, but at least they're coming in strong with 4 races. April's a little weak, but man, the crews need it. They're going to get into the month of May and things just pick up. So as far as like solving this issue, I think they did a good job with this schedule.
I'll jump in. It's actually just 1 week. Like it's back to back to start the season. And to answer, the viewership was 1.4 million on Fox, peaking at 1.8. You get an opportunity to tap into maybe the Phoenix race 2, tap into potentially the NASCAR audience that watches on Fox, that is already watching thanks to the Daytona 500. And you get to keep that momentum building through the streets of Arlington, which everyone has seemed to forgot. That's a new race that's coming on the schedule. Opportunities with, again, the Dallas Cowboys, marketing in the Dallas, Fort Worth, even the Texas area, because the Cowboys reach runs nationwide, really. And then adding Barber to March is just the perfect move. I mean, end of March will be perfect weather out there. I feel that area coming out of spring. It's better than the May date and disrupting kind of the Indy 500 testing, which you forget that after Long Beach they're going to start. It's just Indy from then on, and Barber was kind of this gap in between all the Indy 500 stuff that started shaking up. Now you have just full on. You run into the Indy road course, and then you have the Indy 500. This is by far the best I've seen IndyCar have a beginning of the schedule in years.
And we get an oval. Which has been so challenging, Alex. I mean, that's a topic that we'll touch on, but they have had so much problems getting an oval in a warm weather location, and Fox literally has brought them this solution, which is let us work with NASCAR and get a date on their weekend and piggyback off of them. And they're going to try it for 1 year. Sounds like it's a 1 year deal, and that's what you want to see them try and do. So that's a good move.
Yes. Yeah. So we're largely in agreement, I think, that this the start of the season's comparative lack of momentum has kind of been addressed. Now, moving on to the second charge, which is my personal favorite, that has been not enough ovals. Before we address this, I want to get into something that kind of bugs me. And I don't have the 2026 NASCAR schedule in front of me. So if somebody can fact check me on this, that's great. But the IndyCar date at Phoenix is a Saturday. So I have some fears that I assume that that's going to be a NASCAR O'Reilly series date. And I have a fear that IndyCar might end up playing second fiddle to NASCAR's second fiddle series on that date. Now, as a proof of concept for going back to a track that was kind of processional the last few times they raced there, I think I can live with that. But do we worry that this works out in a way where people show up to the IndyCar race and stay to watch the O'Reilly Series race, or the other way around? If it's the other way around, I'm much less worried. But I just have a feeling that IndyCar is going to end up serving as an opening act for NASCAR's opening act.
Keep in mind, when they did this at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, it was the same thing. IndyCar, and it was part of the reason why they allowed that to happen. They could not allow IndyCar to be the preeminent show on that NASCAR's weekend. That was something that they had to work out. So I raised that fear too. Alex, you've got this right on the head about that. But my dog's barking. If they end up doing well enough to get that Indianapolis, the crowd was good. It was 35, 40,000 people. They'll take that at Phoenix. Wyatt, I don't know what your thoughts on that.
I think you're right on the hammer with that. With this is going to probably be second fiddle to the O'Reilly series. It's going to be weird getting used to saying it like that. But yeah, it'll according to Bob Hawkers, if I'm correct, they're going to run before the O'Reilly series, which will run later that evening, which will be way later on the East Coast and Central Time for some of the more Midwest fans. I feel like it's a trade though. Just remember, St. Pete's going to have the Truck Series race, and back-to-back weeks, IndyCar is going to be the primary show there. And Truck Series is going to play second fiddle. Maybe, we got our oval race in the start of the year, which I'm happy about. I still think we need more ovals. We did get Milwaukee as a doubleheader, which is better than an Iowa doubleheader. We've been screaming about that for all of 2024, or rather 2025. But we got Phoenix. It's new. Is it the oval I wanted? Not really, but I understand why this works with Fox coming in and getting a say-so into squeezing this into this NASCAR race weekend that has honestly been carried by the O'Reilly's Xfinity series at this track. Something new for that crowd. and having it on the same day as the show that's probably going to put on a better product than NASCAR in a season that Phoenix race won't be the championship race. It's kind of working out to the good of IndyCar here to showcase what they have on their short track package.
And I think Wyatt, you brought up like 3 or 4 good points. So I don't know if you drank something today, but good job. I just want to
called 60 minutes of hockey. I'm locked in.
All that ice cold helped thaw your brain or freeze your brain, and now it's all good. So very good points. I thought especially about the racing, it's possible that Saturday across the whole board, if IndyCar's short oval package produces like it has at Gateway in Milwaukee, that whole day will be the best racing that weekend might see. And there is still the possibility that there's quite a few legacy IndyCar fans that are still in that market from all the previous times, and that they've been there because this is their 3rd attempt at getting this race to work. Mm-hmm. You're going to get fans from Colorado. I know that because I drove down when I lived in Colorado to go see this race in 2016. So you're going to get fans in Arizona, New Mexico, the Unsers, all that legacy. If they can get 10,000 of those to join with those that are there to watch the Xfinity race, I think that's a crowd you'll walk away and go, that's a good start.
One more point I want to bring up, Nashville being moved out of the championship race, and now we're going to have Laguna Seca officially, which it's been the championship race before. We'll get into that side of it later. But Nashville moving to July, to middle of July, right after the World Cup, which is also being tendered by Fox. You'll get that crowd on a primetime night. So you're not burning in the Nashville heat like NASCAR did the last couple of years. Mistake. This is not a mistake. And they're bringing a 400-mile race into the equation, which is something that hasn't been done in over a decade, or at least since Pocono, I think, is the track that I've heard. Not sure on year. But this is exactly what that IndyCar needs, especially coming off such a major event like the World Cup, to bring in potentially international fans.
And I like that flexibility. I like how Fox has jumped in and said, we're going to grab this oval. We're going to move it into this prime time window because IndyCar, you're our asset now. We're going to want you to do good. We're going to favor you, and we're going to put you in this window. That is so much leverage that the series has not had with TV partners before.
We have to address Iowa.
Yeah.
Well, we saw it, right? We knew that, right? Everybody knew it.
I saw it firsthand.
You saw it firsthand. Why?
I saw it firsthand before and after. Like at the weekend, went to the NASCAR weekend, didn't see any IndyCar stuff. It was done. Like, I understand why it's gone. When you have an attendance that poor and a lack of marketing for that event, it's doomed from the start. So,
and I think this is a case that Alex on the list that we're going to talk about is like this Midwest focus. I think that Iowa is one of those tracks that if it was in the Midwest, closer. It's in the Great Plains as far as my 8th grade geography teacher is concerned. It's not close enough to really draw so many fans. From Indiana, where I live, it's like a freaking 10, 12, 14-hour drive, I think, 16. I mean, it's a long drive. So it wasn't in the best location. And you just felt like that synergy between the track and the series wasn't there. And the tracks that they are going to, Phoenix set aside, there's a stronger synergy to make those events work, it seems like, or at least IndyCar is committed to making those work. And it just didn't seem like they had that for Iowa anymore. So since that's the second segue of a topic that Blackburn's beat me to, let's issue our verdict before I bring up why I think that the schedule is guilty of count number 3. As far as ovals go, we're satisfied?
Not quite.
Yeah. I think they're still guilty, right? Is that the term? Is that what we're going to go with? Like they're guilty of not providing enough ovals. Wyatt, what's your take on it?
I'm going to still say guilty on this because you didn't add more like ovals in terms of quantity. There's something new, and we got a Milwaukee double, which is fine. But that Milwaukee double, you could take one race and make that Homestead. You can take one race of that and make that Richmond. You can take I wouldn't say get rid of any of the road courses yet. I want to see how Arlington goes or how 2025 or 2026 rather goes. But one of those Milwaukee dates could have been another oval. So I will say guilty.
I will say guilty because they did not use the opportunity to go to the Atlantic Northwest, New England area, out to the East Coast and go to one of those ovals. The one that's really common, and Michael Massey would be all over it, is Richmond. There is a gap geographically there, and they should have leveraged that, and they didn't. So guilty. They still need to figure that out for 27.
Agreed. And that's kind of, two charges in one, let's say, because what are the ovals that they could go to that they haven't already tried to go to that are not on the East Coast? I still want Pikes Peak back. I know that nobody can get to Pikes Peak.
Yes.
I'll get to Pikes Peak. I don't care.
Yeah, Pikes Peak would be awesome because there's a big group of fans in Colorado that are completely being neglected.
Mm-hmm. I want Kansas 27.
back. Or Kansas, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Kansas.
I want Chicagoland.
Yep.
Homestead, like you said, Richmond was on the schedule in 2020, and then 2020 didn't happen the way it was supposed to.
Michigan.
Pocono.
Yep.
I'm going to get skewered for that by certain people. But you'll
get skewed more for Las Vegas, respectfully.
Well, that's why I didn't suggest Las Vegas.
Yeah, exactly.
You just suggested Las Vegas, and
I
never
suggested. Never suggested. I just brought up that. That's all I said.
So some of this could be fixed, I would say, by just having a longer season. We got to the 6-month mark now, starting the 1st of March and ending at the end of the first week of September. But this is still a 17-race season over 16 weekends. I mean, I don't really buy the whole, the teams need to rest and whatnot. I mean, is there widespread dialogue within NASCAR that the 36-race season is too much? I mean, IndyCar is not going to go international across international borders and waters every other week like Formula One does. So what is the rationale? Not the cause. Not why is it happening, but why should it happen that this season is so short?
I think it's because the team owners just don't want to spend the extra money and go to more than 17 races. It is so expensive to them I don't know what formula. I would love to find out, somebody like present the evidence. What formula 17 is the number that you have to hit? It doesn't seem to, I mean, even in their heyday, it was 20 races, right? So I don't understand that 17 race formula. And so it just seems that they don't want to go farther into football season, which maybe now that's something that Fox is a big proponent against. But I don't know. Maybe they'll work with them. It doesn't seem to be more than just the owners just don't want to commit to more races.
I mean, there's still plenty of gaps to make 20 work. I mean, between Arlington and Barber, that's 1 week. And they can't say, this is going to make our travel terrible. They're going from St. Petersburg to Phoenix in 1 week. That's east to damn near the West Coast. I don't want to hear that should not be the excuse because they're embarking on that journey. They've gone between what was it, Toronto to Laguna in a week last season?
Yeah,
or
I think you're right.
Between race weekends.
It was the other way around, I think.
It was Toronto to Laguna.
Yeah, you're right.
Either way, that's a long haul. And I talked to crews. I mean, that's taxing on the crews. But again, NASCAR, I mean, I get there's not as much as much money as there is in NASCAR and IndyCar, but to add just 3 races, and they don't have to, like, the geographical logistics doesn't have to be as crazy as they're making it with just the first one. Like, that's where I have to question, like, where are we going to go if we want to add at least 3 more. My range is about 20 to 22, and that can absolutely happen. I get there's a big gap in the summer due to the World Cup and not wanting to do that. Also kudos to IndyCar for moving the Long Beach Grand Prix out of the Masters window, which avoids a big conflict that's been bothering that race's coverage.
Yeah.
Throw Watkins Glen in there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That would help the geographic. But I think it comes down to the simple fact, now that I think about it, it is a good question. When the viewership increases to a significant, consistent number in which Fox is able to sell a lot of inventory of commercials, which is to our dismay, they're going to have a product that makes them a lot of money. If it's consistently making them a lot of money, then they're going to want more inventory. And then that's when they'll force that schedule to expand beyond what IndyCar wants. So what fans need to hope is that 1 million plus viewer number hits every race next year. I think it hit 4 this year, and then the Indy 500. So that was 5. So that's what needs to happen. The value has to present, because Fox may be very happy with 17 races in its little window between the end of football and the beginning of football.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I agree with that.
So guilty. Still guilty geographically, even if it might be guilty with cause.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And we could end up getting more races that go to other places, but they've just got to have that value, right? Maybe Fox ends up getting them to go with more NASCAR weekends. Fingers crossed this works out. And the number of opportunities to go to other races might expand further if this works. Phoenix.
Like Kansas.
Yeah. Kansas.
Especially Kansas right now.
Especially. Mm-hmm.
I would love IndyCar on the Chicago street course. Unfortunately,
they would race really good
course.
there.
They might actually.
Fantastic. Yeah. Oh man, that would be crazy. It'll be fun to see what the trucks do at St. Pete and the difference in the trucks and the IndyCar. That's going to be good.
Yeah, absolutely. On the topic of tracks that they would race good at that they're not going to go to, and maybe tracks that they don't race so well at that they're going to go to. We've talked a bit about, sticking Detroit right after the Indy 500, for example. Even as we get some of these wishes granted for us when we talk about the schedule getting more exciting, there are still some questionable decisions being made, i.e., Road America. No, even better. The Indy 500 one is the big example. Streets of Arlington immediately followed by Barber. I kind of worry about following a new venue with a race that runs the risk of getting kind of processional at times. Going straight from Nashville to Portland. I'm not a big fan of Portland personally. I know that's not a popular opinion. Laguna Seca as the finale.
Yeah.
Running a road course as the finale is just a bad idea in my mind. Does this schedule, it's better, but is it exciting? Is it compelling?
I'm going to say they're guilty on being able to really spice up basically the flow of that schedule, Alex, from post Indianapolis to the end of the season, because we already talked about the beginning and that momentum is good. I don't have a problem with the way that first quarter works because they're so limited on options. Mm-hmm. And I think Barber can be a good road course. It's just this freaking hybrid has ruined these permanent road course races, but the racing seemed to get better at the second half of the season. So maybe Barber returns to being good next year. Mm-hmm.
Not if Alex Palou has anything to say about it.
If Alex Palou is like somebody traps him in a porta potty before the race, then maybe the race will be really good. But you're right. Laguna Seca ending on a road course, if the championship comes down to the last race, that's not going to be a great venue. We lost the Oval in Nashville. I loved it. We had a great time covering that race. There's just something awesome and exciting with the energy of the season finale being on an oval. IndyCar, you are guilty in messing that up, because that is something that people have wanted for a long time. They gave it to us. They gave it to the fans last year, and they just took it away. It got 1 million plus viewers. Like, what are we doing? Now I get it. They're going to put a really good race at the end of the World Cup. Good on them. But that just, it seems like Laguna is going to be there for a while. And Laguna is there because the owners love to wine and dine and just party it up out there in California, enjoy the weather. But the fans don't get a great show. So that's disappointing. The only other semi-positive that kind of helps them out, but they're still guilty, they moved Gateway 1 week up. So now it goes Detroit, which is that okay, chaotic, but it's not that great a race. You kind of wish you could follow the Indy 500 with an oval. Mm-hmm. Just 2 weeks later, we get Gateway, prime time. I think that was a good move.
I would say move to Michigan, but that'd be 2 super speedways back to back as well. Michigan anywhere would be nice. In terms of like, I look at most of the schedule. The front half absolutely couldn't be any more perfect. You could squeeze another race or two, but with the given schedule, it's about as perfect as you want. I wanted Barber out of May. We got Barber in March. Perfect. It might not even be a great race. It could be a good race, but you know, if you, for the fans, going the Barber is the experience, I feel. In terms of a TV audience, you might lose some people there. But then you have Long Beach a few weeks afterward, and it's finally in a TV window where it can get proper exposure and not get challenged by something like the Masters, like I said. After the Indy 500, I've liked the Detroit. Like, Detroit's always been the place they go after the Indy 500. I think that's just a traditional spot. And the last couple of races at Detroit have been fun. Legitimately fun races to watch at that place. So I'm okay with that, honestly. I'll stand on the other side. And then moving Gateway up a little bit, that's also good too. It keeps the momentum building. But after, Road America, that was a great race. It's still going to be good. Mid-Ohio is mid, like it's like in the name. And then we've talked about Nashville. Portland's kind of mid too for me. The Streets of Markham I'm interested in. That being a new course too. I'm gonna miss the old Toronto layout though, for sure. And I get this is gonna be a long-term deal. I went. You went too. You're taking.
Yeah, I went. Too. I'm not gonna miss it as a track for racing.
It had fair. A lot of changes. It's had a lot of modifications going back to the 2000s because of all the construction. Mm-hmm. That track was slowly shrinking, so this was a matter of time.
Yeah, the crowd was good though, and they showed out. But I do get that. I do
enjoy the suburbs. Whichever of you two is going, enjoy the suburbs of Toronto instead of downtown.
Yeah, I'm glad that they moved Toronto back, because I don't know how it was this year, but it was in July last year and this year, and it was a scorcher.
It was very beautiful this year. I will.
Oh, that's man. I probably sweat out like 17 pounds over from Thursday to Monday in Toronto last year. It was rough.
Well, and they also have the media center inside the garage. You never had to go outside until you went to the pit road. So that's true. I will say Laguna Seca. I am not. That is the one thing I hate, because we've seen this before. It's not really a compelling race when you have Alex Palou out there and you just know he's going to put on a stinker probably to end the season. I was watching David Land. It's just going to be the Alex Palou parade lap, or celebration lap, whatever he said on his video. And I couldn't agree more. It's just not going to be like a Nashville, like making Milwaukee. This is just going into creative brain zone here. Make the Milwaukee doubleheader the season finale. You have 2 races and you get to market the hell out of both of them. and you will have a crowd there that will be raucous. You thought that Christian Rasmussen race was crazy. If the championship's on the line with the pass like that, you might see beer cans thrown onto the track, a la 2005 Talladega. I don't know. I'm just trying to cook here, but Laguna Seca, I'm not sold on that. And it's just a wine and dine, like you said, Alex.
Alex, what do you think?
I'm going to break the tie and say guilty because first of all, it's August. It's not getting cold. I don't know what it's like in the real world where there's actual civilization, but I can tell you it's not cold in Ohio in August. It's not cold in Ohio in September.
September rates, yeah.
My freshman year of college, we had a September night that was so bad that they had to go pass out cold water in the dorms because it was so hot and we didn't have air conditioning.
Dang.
So I don't want to hear anything. And you guys haven't said this, but I've heard we have to talk about the weather. We can't go to the north or whatever, blah, 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 because it's cold.
September.
Whatever, put on a jacket.
NASCAR's running New Hampshire this weekend. There
should be a finale, a night race in mid-September to late September at Homestead Miami Speedway.
Yes.
Make it happen. I don't care. I don't care what you have to. If there's somebody that has to be removed from circulation, I'll do it myself. I'll put them in a box and it'll be very accidental looking. But
Detroit will be sacrificed for this.
I don't know why Nashville even isn't no longer it's just assumed it's not going back. Look at all those guys partying after the race was over. You saw all the social media willpower.
It's not that far away from Broadway. 30 miles is not that bad.
They loved going out there and hitting the clubs, man. It doesn't make any sense to move it like that, except it's what the sponsors and the owners want. And it's not going to have, it's going to be, what did I think Zach Brown call it? It was sleepy. So it's going to end up being sleepy is what the finale is going to be. I think
Nathan Brown, I could be wrong. I think Nathan Brown has reported that series leadership wants Laguna as the finale for the foreseeable future.
Yep, you're right.
I would understand it. I'm so stressed. I got to take a Tom. I would understand it if IndyCar was betting on the World Cup going, all right, if we can put an oval on prime time right after the World Cup, we can draw enough attention to the sport that then we can move that oval back next year and people will forgive us and we'll have brought in these new people in the process. But I don't see any reason to, the bigger a company gets, the more people you have sitting around the conference room table proposing stupid ideas. And then the company gets really big and there are so many people in there that the tragedy of the commons takes over and they're like, I don't want to step on this person's toes. I don't want to be that guy to say that the stupid idea is really stupid. So I don't see any reason to believe that Nashville is going to become the season finale anytime soon. Also because they want to go back to the street course as soon as they can, which is another too many people in the boardroom type idea.
It's so fascinating that this is the talking point, because if you look at the schedule, it looks like IndyCar has listened to a lot of what the fans and the media have said about this is what the schedule needs to be done to be fixed. And then they make this move where people have said, hey, you had fixed this. You had put an oval at the end of the season, and then they moved it out. You take one step forward in addressing your issues, and you're taking another step back. So that's where the angst comes from. And this is where Alex's heartburn, I think, is or his indigestion is medically induced.
Acid reflux.
I was about to say.
Acid reflux. So, this is, thank you, IndyCar. You're Alex is going to send you the Alex bill. Yes, you're killing Alex.
I've had a great life. I've seen enough.
The ulcers are growing as the schedule tweaks.
So we've got to talk about a few things that didn't happen as well. The big one is Mexico City, obviously. And there was some reporting about that potentially being replaced with a street race in Washington, D.C., which would have been really convenient for me at this point in my life.
Yeah.
And would have made perfect sense given the personality and proclivities of certain people that are geographically close to that area. And then Iowa's kind of whatever. Mexico, I think, is a big, big, big loss of face for IndyCar. And it's another thing that allegedly, it was no way to make it work between the venue IndyCar and the promoters and World Cup and all that. But Jesus, man, I mean, this went along so far. It went too deep into the conversation, promotion, anticipation process to just fall apart like that. Horrible
Absolutely.
look.
Wyatt, what do you think on this? I'll let you go first on this one.
Yeah, we all thought this was about to happen. We all kind of had the hanging of, well, is the World Cup about to hoax this? Like, could they fit this into the start of the season? Which obviously, as we see it now, makes sense that they couldn't squeeze this in the spring. And the fact that we've been talking Mexico City for a decade. We haven't been to the venue since 2007, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. So going on 19 years going into 2026. You'll go into 27 now. It'll be 2 decades if we don't get it done then. I get that it's the World Cup. Even Pato O'Ward said it on his statement. And I think it's still in play, but it's disheartening for a lot of fans that have been in anticipation for this for over a decade now. And that's the biggest like crusher about this whole thing.
IndyCar fans are generally disheartened though, Boston.
Yeah.
Yes.
They're Richmond. Baltimore happened.
Baltimore falling. Yeah. Oh. Baltimore, Brazil, China, your beast.
China, Qingdao 2012. Zhuhai 2007.
Twin Motegi.
Motegi, dear God, Motegi. So like, I don't know about you guys, and I'm in a certain position compared to you, Blackburn, because I came to IndyCar later in my life because I was born in 1999 when the sport was underwater. But like, I was almost out of middle school by the time reunification, almost out of elementary school by the time reunification happened. But from the brief time comparatively that I've spent following this series, it's been a lot of, this is going to happen. Oh yeah, by the way, it almost comes across like we forgot to do that. We forgot to go to Qingdao. So
that's a big forget.
Yeah. Or Texas Motor Speedway. Good God.
Yeah.
So I think IndyCar fans are just so conditioned, rightfully so at this point, to hear when something doesn't happen, it's not going to happen. I'm not convinced the Nashville Street Circuit's coming back.
I think that what the problem is a question of value. There you go, man. Jeez. I can feel the burn like through the internet. Mine's
falling apart over here, man.
It honestly comes down to a question of value. The series isn't popular enough that these promoters are either one, making enough money or fully committed to saying, hey, we're going to pull out all the stops. Because you know who doesn't have this problem? Formula One, NASCAR. They don't have this problem. IndyCar has to, and this basically ties back to not enough races, right? With the value of viewership, if this sport truly is on a growth up, then maybe they're going to be able to leverage that popularity, because even Mark Miles said so himself incorrectly. They didn't think they had the driver in Pato O'Ward to market a race in Mexico City. He's just not saying that because that's his personal opinion. That had to be based off of interactions with Mexico City, who did not want to work with IndyCar to put that race on, which they need because this is a foreign market. This isn't like Iowa where they can send their team. They need someone there committed in that foreign country to put this race on because they're not from Mexico. So with that value question, this is why these tracks internationally are falling off, but also domestically because the cities aren't. But we're seeing NASCAR, it's having the same problem. International and street courses are just hard. Chicago's going away. right? They're not going to be sticking around for too long. And then they only went to Mexico City once.
Yeah.
And they're not going back. So that's just, so they're having troubles too, but IndyCar just has a history of it because I think that brand is just not strong enough to stand on its own. They haven't even been
focused on the Indy 500.
That's right. Mm-hmm. They can't make the rest of the circuit better. And they can't even go back to Surfer's Paradise in a time in which they've had probably the most popular possible, like the greatest, Australia, New Zealand drivers with Will Power, with Scott McLaughlin just recently, and Scott Dixon. They have not been able, and Ryan Briscoe, I forgot about him. They couldn't go back to Surfer's Paradise. So you said merger. They just haven't had that brand value since the merger, since the split, to be able to make those races work. Papa Tums.
DC. If I take more Tums, I'm going to end up with a kidney stone.
well.
Drink some water. Maybe if you didn't drink those Monsters or whatever the heck it was that you picked up at Nashville, you had to get every morning. What was that?
I don't tell you how to live your life.
Bang.
It was White Monster.
It's White Monster.
DC, God. A DC street race.
How convenient that would have been.
Would we take it? Like, as a long-term investment on the schedule, would you guys like that? I don't know that I would. I would like the geographical spread, and I would like the idea of the center of political power in this country being brought to a standstill for a week, although it doesn't really need IndyCar to do that at this point. I would have liked to see it happen in 2026. That'd be the perfect year to run it and cash in on the theater, the 250th anniversary of the country, whatever.
Right.
Yeah. That
would have been the perfect year to run it as an experiment, see if it worked, and then have a perfect excuse to wash your hands of it if it didn't. True. So that kind of feels like a lost opportunity to me.
I think, to me, it's all about where they were going to run it. If it was just going to be in the parking lot of the Washington Commanders stadium
in Maryland,
yeah, is that where they're? I don't know where they're staying. I thought maybe it was
in Maryland. Yeah, it's in Maryland.
See, that could be possible. They could put it in some. If it's not down in the memorial area, the mall, and all that stuff, I don't see a purpose to it because to me, it's not going to do anything. Right? There's nothing you're going to do in DC. You should do it where the visuals, just like the visuals at the Chicago Street War course for NASCAR, paid off. Mm-hmm. That's the only where I was. But it does show an example of how maybe that brand is supported by Fox, because this is by what the reports are, this is a Robert Murdoch pushed event, and he's the guy that runs Fox. And that makes sense because he's invested in IndyCar. That's the type of leverage they have, maybe to sell events to these maybe domestic partners to make this happen. That's a huge person to have, backing you up.
You could. What's going on right now on the site where RFK Memorial Stadium used to be?
They're rebuilding that into the new
Commander Stadium. Okay. Yes. Okay. There's plenty of picturesque places in DC that they could have done it. They would just have to pick up the National Guard and physically move them somewhere else for a bit.
Hey,
the National Guard has to go pick up the trash, right?
Oh, that's right.
They're going to leave the trash down. They'll pick it up.
That's right. I would have liked to see it, but I'm kind of glad that it's not happening because I feel like if it happened once, it probably wasn't going to happen again. I think the rationale of doing it once works, but it's not a loss.
I think I wish, selfishly, living there in Virginia for a couple of years and being a veteran as well, I think that would have been a good counter to the NASCAR at the opposite side of the country in San Diego. Mm-hmm. And again, being 250th year, absolutely perfect timing. I think now you forego that excuse to kind of celebrate out there in DC, potentially have pundits from the government there, maybe pushing and the town getting promoted. World leaders. Yeah, I mean, it
would be a big event.
the Spanish prime minister or whatever. I don't know. Like get them out there, get a lot of eyeballs on downtown DC or around the Memorial area, wherever they're going to put this. Now, is it worth the hassle after that year? I don't think so. I think that you should rather, like we said earlier, we should go to Richmond. It's right down the Interstate 95. There's track ready there. You should go anywhere else in the Southeast and or the Midwest. Dover's across the way too. I think that's still an okay idea to potentially try, but that's kind of a hot take. But
it would be completely consumed by political turmoil.
Exactly.
And it would be so volatile year to year, and it would just fit the mold of all the other ones that fans have expected to go away.
It'd go ahead as long as I'm here. I'd handle it.
Okay.
I'd take care of that.
As long as you have the
from
comms,
IndyCar content director to Grand Prix of Washington DC director
to order implementer, order restorer.
I thought you were going to bring the Chinese Grand Prix back, but that hasn't popped up yet. So
that's on my agenda. In order, it's Cleveland, China, then DC. Oh, Cleveland's coming back before I die. Mark my words.
I thought we were about to get a damn airport race in Canada this whole time. So that.
Yeah, we were looking up the maps and everything. Me and Wyatt were looking it up on Google Earth to see, all right, where would the route be? But we were wrong.
Wrong.
With that, we have used up a bit of time here. We cleared the schedule of the first charge. We said it was still guilty of having not enough ovals. We had a split bench that came with it being guilty of the geographical spread.
Yeah, I'd say.
Yeah, you broke it. You broke the tie, yep.
And then consistently exciting rotations of tracks.
And it was guilty too.
You broke that tie too.
You broke that tie.
Still some work to be done.
Mm-hmm. And we're gonna acquit them of the Mexico and Washington game.
Yeah.
We're dismissing those charges. We're throwing the case out. Fruits of the poisonous tree, no probable cause.
Yes.
With prejudice.
A lot of that going around, so it's okay.
Yeah. So when that schedule does get worked out, hopefully in 2027, we will be back here on the pit straight to go over it, and we will be back on the pit straight to go over everything that happens in IndyCar through 2026, and begrudgingly, I'm kidding, the rest of the 2025 Formula One season, which will be back in Baku, Azerbaijan, I believe, this coming weekend. So, well, that's a whole can of worms in its own right, but until then, Alex Gintz, Wyatt Watson, Tom Blackburn, thank you all for tuning into the Pit Straight. Gentlemen, thank you for being here. And Azerbaijan, yeah, okay. Let's just sign off before this gets worse.
Take care, folks.